a lot of like society tells everyone to go to college. Like that's the only path available. Right. And if you don't, you're failing, right?
Right.
I think it's bullshit.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you,
For sure.
I think there's just such a stigma out there that we need to break, and this organization one day will break that, right? Or at least help in that. But there's so many other options, right? Like after high school, there's trade schools, there's technical college, there's military, right? There's a lot of other things that the society needs, and we need to continue to enrich those kids that have those dreams, right? Mm-hmm. It's not right to say college is the only path, right? I mean, college these days for tuition at Cornell is $75,000 a year, right? How many people can afford that, right? Exactly. I was lucky to go on a full ride scholarship, right? But with that, there's no way I could have gone. And we got to think about ways to make it more accessible to have these other, paths. But college is not the only way for success.
For sure. Yo, welcome to the Part of Everything podcast, where we explore unique individuals on unique journeys, telling unique stories.
We show the connection that all these different stories have in these different life paths. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, or even a CEO, there's something that we can all relate to.
If you want to follow us more episodes, you can definitely tap in on YouTube or any other streaming platform that you have. But other than that, let's get to it. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Part of Everything podcast, where we get the pleasure to share unique stories and unique paths. Today, we got special guests from the 14er Fund. We got Bruce, Nate, and Andy.
That's right.
Man, guys, how you guys feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit of a debacle getting here. It was a Zoom call, but we called and they're like, oh, well, it's in person. We're like, oh my God, let's go. And so here we are.
Absolutely,
That's the theme of the past couple months. It was just a big debacle.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah, so introduce yourself, guys. I'd love to hear more about the 14er Fund and kind of you guys' backgrounds.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Nate Bradley. Work for the city and county of Denver, and I'm the CEO of the 14er Fund.
Dope.
Sure.
You're all from Aurora?
Yep.
Right.
We all grew up in Aurora.
Dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we all grew up in Aurora and all went to Rangeview, class 2014, and we actually found that all of us went to Aurora Public Schools, high schools. I graduated about 2 years apart, so all in the same community. But no, our group was really just founded at Rangeview. Like freshman year, we found each other. We're like, yo, we're in honors classes. Like we like soccer, we like swimming, and like these common interests bonded us. But a bit about me, I'm Bruce. I'm the CEO of the 14er Fund, and we really started this organization about exactly a year ago. Next week will be a year.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good timing.
You guys want to hear about how he started?
Sure, yeah. If Andy wants to introduce himself.
Yeah, we'll have Andy go first.
I'm Andy. I'm CFO of 14er Fund. Again, we all went to Rangeview together.
Dope.
I currently work for a company called Willis Towers Watson doing financial consulting.
Okay.
Super interesting.
Perfect.
But Bruce can get into how we actually started.
Dope. All right.
Yeah, so we were actually down the road here at a place called Punch Bowl Social.
Yeah.
On Broadway?
Yeah.
On Broadway.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
It's a nice one, man. But they actually closed pretty recently. I think they filed bankruptcy or something, unfortunately.
Oh, damn.
But last year I was living in Atlanta, flew up for the weekend, and we just went out as we always do. And we're sitting there getting beers, and we're like, you know what, we're 23 at the time, right? 22, 23, let's start thinking about how we can give back. Mm-hmm. And the idea of having a nonprofit, an idea of mentoring kids really came to us. Mm-hmm. And we were like, nonprofit, what about it? And we were just joshing around, and then we were like, wait, no, seriously, are we actually gonna do a nonprofit? And we're like, oh snap, hold up, let's think about this. And Andy did all the work to get us 501c3 status, and Nate kind of got us the website and started promoting, and a year later here we are, and I can have one of these guys talk about what we've done the past year, but it's been an unbelievable adventure that we've been on.
Absolutely. So Andy, I would love to learn, or have you tell the audience about the process of setting up a 501c3, what it takes to do that.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty easy to establish a nonprofit itself. The little bit harder aspect of it is getting 501c3, meaning you're tax deductible, so that you're the official IRS established nonprofit. So that requires a few forms that you file. So it's actually not too hard to get it. What's hard is keeping it and filing the correct forms each year to make sure that you're actually stating everything that you're receiving from donations and gifts and where all of that's coming from. Because there's lots of subclasses of nonprofits, and if you have, like a wealthy person starts a nonprofit with a huge sum of money, is classified differently than us, where it's just we're donating ourselves. So it's just a lot of researching what status you fall into and really making sure that you follow those guidelines, because it's very different depending on where you're coming from.
For sure. Did you guys ever think about getting a fiscal sponsor to start out, or did you go straight to the...
We definitely want to do that in the future, and we have some things in the works now, but we honestly didn't think this was going to go past a year. We really wanted to do just a one-time scholarship, and it sort of came together really well, and we all sort of play off each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we just work very well together, and so we thought that why not continue this and just see how far we can take it.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it sounds like you're gonna be doing some paperwork here soon, or just to renew everything.
Yeah, we hope. We actually just had a fundraiser in December that was called Defying Odds.
Okay.
So that was sort of like a TED Talk style of fundraiser where we have people present on different topics, all centered on defying odds. And through that, built some connections, getting to know people, and hopefully that will be set up for future fundraisers and donations and things like that.
Oh.
I would love to hear the big picture goal for you guys with the 14er Fund.
What do you have about that?
You want to take it, Nate?
Sure. So yeah, definitely. We started out with just Range View High School, our alma mater, and that was a really good success. We have a really good scholar picked out for the class of 2020. So this year we actually expanded to include all the APS high schools, so Range View, Gateway, Hinckley, Central, and Eastern Peak. And so, representing here. But yeah, big picture, we're hoping to reach as much as of the Denver metro area as we can, hit the rest of the schools in Aurora, try to get the Denver area. So just continuing to naturally expand and get bigger.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
That's dope.
Absolutely. Are you guys looking to fund anything else besides the scholarships for kids? Would you guys fund a DECA program, for example, for a school? Would you guys consider something like that?
I know I've definitely been thinking about, what can we do to continue to give back and more mentor students, whether it's through, workshops about, applying to college or being in a professional setting, doing interviews, things like that. So we're definitely thinking about building a curriculum and doing some more teaching and more mentoring in the future.
For sure. Wow.
So what's the process of determining the scholarship winner? Is it you guys have an essay requirement, or what do they got to do?
Do you want to take that?
Does anybody want?
Yeah. Go off there. No, yeah. So we actually just opened up our applications. I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I think a big part of our fund is keeping it easy and accessible for people to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to be like these other scholarships that take days to complete an application. It's 3 or 4 short essays, really just what you've been involved in at school, extracurriculars. We want to see leadership, kids that are involved in their communities, but also high GPAs as well, so academic excellence. But I think the biggest thing that we hone on is the essay, right? So camaraderie, purpose, right? And what makes you special, right? And we look at the application holistically. So, what's funny is also we have a question on the app that is, what is your favorite food at Olive Garden?
Okay.
Oh no, what food would you be?
Oh, what food would you be? Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
What food would you be? And
what food would you be at Olive Garden?
Man, I'd be the tour of Italy.
I think we got that.
Lasagna, the chicken parm,
exactly.
and
3 in 1.
Yeah, someone said that. Best bang for your buck. How about you, man?
I'll probably be like a shrimp scampi, or something like that. Yeah, kind of light, not too heavy, but still.
When we did the application last year, it's pretty traditional, just the 3 short essays, very general requirements. This year was the same thing, but we sort of, as we were planning the application, what questions we want to ask, we sort of, it hit us like, this is ours. We can do whatever we want with it. Let's just throw kind of a dumb question out there that you wouldn't see in other applications,
Right.
For sure.
to show that we're a little bit different. Because the main thing about our organization is that we follow these students after high school. We check in with them. We make sure they're doing okay. We email them once a month. We try and meet up with them once or twice a year just to see how they're doing. Because coming from Aurora, it's hard to make that transition to a school. And we actually all went to private colleges. So,
Nice.
3 kids from Aurora, Miami, University of Miami, University of Denver, and Cornell, and
Damn.
these prestigious universities, we were way out of our comfort zone entirely. So we wanted to bridge that gap of having to go from high school to a university and just kind of be a stepping stone almost. Because unfortunately, a lot of high schools just sort of stop caring, to put it frankly, after you graduate. Like they just they want to see your graduation rate and that's it.
Yeah, they got paid for it already. So
they don't really care how you do after college. I'm sure some teachers do, but there's no metric to track how many students made it through the first year, their second, third, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of what we want our metric to be. So when we built this application, we threw that fun question in to really find someone that we like, but also know we can get along with, so we can build a relationship with them and really actually help them. Because we love our first scholar, but we think that there could have been someone that may have reached out to us a little bit easier. She's a little bit shy about reaching out and asking for help on things, and we really want to make sure that everyone's comfortable. And of course, she's coming around to it, and she's getting used to having emails and talking to us, but we want to find that personality that we can really help them surpass all measures.
What advice would you give a kid going into college, a senior in high school, taking that next step to college, going to an Ivy League school, or just like in a prestigious university or any university?
Yeah, I think as Annie said, like the transition from like the Aurora hood, like we all love Aurora, like that's home, right?
Right.
But going to upstate New York, where a majority of the populations from the East Coast come from money, and kind of have this generational community of network that they can reach out to for jobs. Right. Was a stark contrast of how we grew up, honestly. And I took my first freshman year, I struggled completely in every way, academically, socially, professionally.
Right.
I remember failing my first test. I literally got 56% in this Microsoft Excel class. Shout out to Mark McCarthy.
That sounds awful. I'm a writer. I did communications, so nothing too crazy, but Excel class sounds
dreadful.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to you for taking that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Oh, I was forced to take it. It was part of the curriculum. So I was like, dude, I'll get the degree. But I failed this class, and in high school I'd been a straight A student, like 3.85 unweighted, invincible. I felt like I could do anything. Right. And for me to fail a test was like the biggest stamp of disapproval in my life. Right. And I just went back defeated. But, I think the biggest advice I would give to students is your freshman year is going to be tough. Like, let's be real. Wherever you go, out of state, in state, you're going to have these obstacles that you go over. But make some good friends. Like, know that at the end, it gets better after, the first year. And towards the end, you can have fun. It's a little bit more loose. But, I wish someone told me, like, freshman year is going to kick your butt. But I'm sure Nate has a bunch of other stories too from Miami.
Yeah. Any other pieces of advice?
Another piece of advice I'd give is definitely to be adaptable. When I went into college, I started out in biomedical engineering. I thought that I had my whole life mapped out. It's going to be super easy. Just coast through, just like high school. And then I got there and I failed more than one test. I failed a few classes. I stayed stubborn. Second semester, I thought I'd bounce back. Did not. And so just had to have the conversation with my family, being able to change the set path that I had for myself and really figure out what fits best for me. So I switched to English and also minored in public relations. And so definitely had a better time, had more time to explore Miami, have a little bit more fun socially, not worry about failing classes. So.
Miami's fun to explore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. South Beach is amazing. But yeah, definitely just... don't have a set path in mind. Things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. You have to be willing to make changes.
Right.
For sure. What about you, Andy?
Yeah.
I'd say that the biggest thing is understanding that you need to major in something that you enjoy. Whether everyone always says you need to go to college for, as you know, you need to have a purpose, which is true. But I think the three of us are testaments to that. You don't need to necessarily have a direct major to job correlation. All of us majored in very different things. Nate and I both changed once, and we all wound up studying things that we enjoy and getting things out of that do transfer over to jobs. So, for instance, like I studied mathematics in college, so I'm not a math teacher, so that doesn't apply directly.
Right.
But math teaches you how to solve problems. And whenever someone asks me in a job interview, like this is math, like, well, how is this applicable? Like, how can you help us? Like, well, I solve problems. I spent 4 years taking what I know and applying it to a situation to solve a problem. So it's things like that, looking at it a little bit of a different light and understanding how things work. Like, for instance, I'm sure Bruce will touch on this later, but he majored in hospitality management, right? And now he works for Wix, and he worked hospitality management, and his first job was at Delta. So it's like, you wouldn't really think it has a correlation, but a hotel room and an airline seat are very similar, as he's explained to me before. So
that's true.
He loved hospitality management, but he wound up in airlines because that's what he enjoyed. And he took things that he enjoyed from hospitality and applied it to his job. So it's more of finding what you're good at and what you like, and then how can I use this to make money?
Sure. Would you guys have any tips for a high school student on how to find out or get more clear on what they want to do going into college? So they do have more of a direction?
That's tough. Do you guys want to say that?
I feel like a lot of society tells everyone to go to college. Like, that's the only path available. Right. And if you don't, you're failing, right? Right. I think it's bullshit. Absolutely. To be honest with you,
for sure.
I think there's just such a stigma out there that we need to break, and this organization one day will break that, right? Or at least help in that. But there's so many other options, right? Like, after high school, there's trade schools, there's technical college, there's military, right? There's a lot of other things that the society needs, and we need to continue to enrich those kids that have those dreams, right? It's not right to say college is the only path, right? I mean, college these days for tuition at Cornell is $75,000 a year, right? How many people can afford that, right? Exactly. I was lucky to go on a full ride scholarship, right? But with that, there's no way I could have gone. And we got to think about ways to make it more accessible to have these other, paths. But college is not the only way for success.
For sure. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's really important just to, like you said, open up those different options for kids, because they do get boxed in with the stigma of just going to college. No, I think that's amazing, man, for sure. And how do you guys feel about, or what's the best way to approach bridging the gap between public schools and Cornell, for example, Ivy League school?
That, I think, if we can answer that question, we can solve income inequality. We can solve a lot of issues that this world is experiencing now. I honestly think, as Annie alluded to, there's a disconnect between public education, K-12, to post-secondary, right? There's just no accountability. Like, people, your high school teachers care about you and they love you, right? We've got Patrick Sant, a lot of other teachers that cared about us. But at the end of the day, the buck stops after we leave high school. Who's watching kids after they leave, after they're 17, 18? Well, it's nobody. It's their parents and themselves. Right. Well, what if you come from a family that doesn't have that experience, right? Well, then you're kind of screwed. So that's where we kind of fit in. We want to be that gap to say, okay, we've gone through the process. We know people in different industries. And listen, if you're at CSU studying journalism, in 4 years, we'll have someone at the Denver Post or the Gazette, that you can talk to get a job. And really, that's where we see us helping bridge that gap between public and private. It's a tough question, man. It's a tough thing to solve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's, like you said, it's the key to a lot of problems in this world. So, yeah, for sure. So we have this thing. We're doing a challenge round in our podcast. And so it's pretty much like a speed round where we're going to ask you guys, or you're going to pull a card at the hat, and you're going to answer some questions. So
nice.
Here we go.
You going to set a timer?
Yeah.
Right? It's the,
I thought we were doing the hat.
Yeah, we got the... Yeah.
Well, yeah. So then we'll do a timer for how long? For 45 seconds?
Right. Producer Shane?
45
right.
seconds?
Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
Absolutely.
It's our first go around, so we'll see how it goes. But just
so you'll pick one and then
right,
and then
I'll pick one now.
Sure, that works.
sure, yeah, and then just answer whatever comes to mind.
Going first, Andy?
Sure. And then after you guys pick one, then you'll pass it back, and then we'll go 3 rounds.
Cool.
So mine is, what do you value most in a friendship? I'd say honesty for sure. I think being able to call each other out and making sure that you hold each other accountable. One of the things that we talk about a lot is you really are like the product of the people you hang around with.
Mm-hmm.
So really making sure that you're honest with each other and hold each other accountable. I think that you bring everyone up around you, and I value that a lot.
Right.
Sure.
Beautiful answer.
You could just throw those.
So my question is, what smell reminds you of childhood? And I'd honestly have to say, probably, this is a weird answer, but library books.
Okay.
Yeah, because I spent a lot of time in the library just growing up.
That Scholastic Book Fair definitely had a smell. That had a smell.
I would guess my mom for $10.
Definitely.
But yes, always spent a lot of time in the library growing up. I have a godfather that worked at the library, and now in my current day job, sometimes I do projects with the library, so it's always good to
Shout out to the plug.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, so this is a tough. Who wrote this question, man? This is tough. What do you save from a burning house? Loved ones and pets are already safe. Man, I've got this like solid state drive that's like 2 terabytes. All my life on it, like photos, memories, documents, everything since I was like 8. I've had.
Damn.
I would definitely grab that because you can always print off new photos and documents, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that's my life.
Yeah. Nice.
Absolutely. Round 2.
That was good.
That was good.
We're we'll get the lightning. So don't worry about it.
Dream dinner guest, dead or alive?
You can't say me.
That's really tough. I probably just off the top of my head have to say Michael Phelps because I've been a swimmer my whole life.
Damn.
So I've always wanted to just talk to him just about
Did
his
you
life.
swim for Rangeview? Or?
Yeah, I did. I swam for Ranger in high school.
Dope.
What would you want to ask him?
Just like all of his struggles, because like, when you talk to him, he seems very different than what he actually is. He's a very like sort of sad and depressed person, even though like he's the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Yeah.
It's just understanding like how that happened, like what went wrong, or like what he would have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Before dinner, he does the slap, the warm up.
So I got, what do you do on Friday nights? And so this is actually a really good one because we started to have a new tradition where we'll usually go out and get some, Korean barbecue or get some pho, and then we'll come back and usually just watch YouTube, whether it's, SNL or if it's, what's it, Nathan for you?
Oh, nice.
Just clips like that and just talk about 14er fun, just talk about life, just talk about work, things like that.
14er Fun Fridays.
F cubed.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's good.
What do you love to hate? What do I love to hate? I think I love to hate like people that can't drive. Like we were driving here and like we were stuck behind so many people in the left lane that were just hogging it.
Damn.
I don't road rage. I don't do any of that. Not endorsing that either.
Right.
But I'm just like, oh my God, like who taught you how to drive? Like get off the roads.
It's actually like a Colorado law. Like if you're not passing in the left, you have to get in the right. But
yeah, exactly. But like in Atlanta and Georgia, like no, that's not even a thing. Like people just hog the left lane. It's crazy. But I'm done ranting. Hey, go ahead.
For sure. Final round.
Your biggest strength and your biggest weakness. I think biggest strength is being able to look at things objectively, sort of take my opinion out of it. I think that helps with our organization sometimes.
dope.
Biggest weakness. Probably that I can be stubborn. Like I can be very objective, but then once my mind's made up, like it's made up. It's hard to change.
Right.
You're not, you know.
It's been decided.
So my question is, do you want to be famous and what for? And so honestly, I wouldn't want to be famous. You know, I'm a pretty reserved person, but if I were to have to be famous, hopefully it'd be for the 14er Fund, you know, just making a difference, impacting as many people as possible. So if I had to be famous, it would be for that, probably.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Nice. Most recent Halloween costume. It's a little embarrassing to say, but I'm gonna say it. I was at Walmart like the day before I had to go to work. Like we had like dress up for work day back when we were in the office. Mm-hmm. The only thing available was literally a Princess Peach like Mario Kart thing that you like wear like an overall thing. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Work to work, and I got the weirdest looks all day long. Like I was walking down the halls getting food. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, like what's this guy?" I'm like, "Yo, like this was like $14.95. Yeah. Like you can't beat that price and have a return after."
I'm winning the contest.
Yeah, I definitely lost the contest, but yeah, it was fun.
What's up, man? So that's the end of the challenge.
Well, yeah, that was a good round.
That was fun, guys.
Yeah, those are good answers.
For sure.
I like the library book one. That I definitely like that smell.
Yeah, so like it seems like you guys all have like unique journeys and have like kind of brought yourselves into a unique space. If you were to paint a picture, you know, of the current stage you're in your life right now with words, you know, what would that picture look like?
Yes, I actually wrote out this question. You know, I kind of view us in the 14er Fund in this big, like, close your eyes and envision this with me, like this room. Okay, so you got this big room, and it's overlooking some mountains. Mm-hmm. Floor to ceiling windows, right? You can see everything.
Oh, wow, it's descriptive. I like it.
You've got bonsai trees in this middle of this room, right? You've got whiteboard easels with wheels. You've got a bunch of tables, a bunch of people running around, sharing ideas, pitching to each other, and it's chaotic, man. Ideas are flowing. People are bumping into each other and like screaming and yelling and being excited about different ideas. That's what we're doing now. And I really feel like, and you guys can open your eyes now. But no, like I really do feel like it's like a continuation of like college in a way. Like we're like all in this room, like thinking about what's next. How do we get there? Honestly, we had like Mayor Kaufman and like Major General John Barry and the first woman who found oil in Belize come to our events like last 2 months ago. And it all started with an idea like, yo, like how do we get people to come to this event? And we just brainstormed. And I feel like that's a lot of what we're doing now is just brainstorming. And it's exciting, man. It's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds like a Grant Cardone office. Like there's a bunch of whiteboards and windows.
Do you guys have anything to add?
Well, I don't think you can top that at all. Like I want to be upset, but that very is much like how everything is. Like that's just like every, like Nate was saying, like, it's like every Friday night, just bouncing ideas off each other. Like, what do we want to do next? Where are we going to go? Like most of our ideas and things have just been spur of the moment, very much like literal whiteboards out, just like who do we know? Where are we going? Like how do we get there? Like that, just chaos, but like with the mountains surrounding and like that calm aspect of it too. It's very, very accurate.
So how do you guys go about curating the chaos, you know? Because I'm an idea person myself, so like I throw shit at the wall and hope it lands a lot of times. But it's like, how do you guys curate like it's not going to work and what's going to work and like what's actually possible and, you know, what's actually a priority or what can we like put off, you know, months down the road?
I honestly don't think we even know, guys.
It's a work in progress.
That's a secret. Like, we throw shit against the wall every single day, and we were surprised by how much shit that we're able to do. Yeah. And you know what the secret is? Doing the damn thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
Just gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sit around and we have ideas in our minds, like, as regular people, but, like, honestly, we're regular people like everyone else, right? We're just doing something, right? And we're saying, hey, if it doesn't work out, we had fun, we learned something, but it just happened to be that everything's worked out. I don't know how, but I think it's a lot of perseverance, a lot of like vision. And I think one person I look up to now is Elon Musk. And that guy is just, I mean, honestly, I laughed at him. I laughed at him 2-3 years ago, but like, he's the richest man in the world now. But what we can take away from him is like he had a vision. Like he wants people in space. He wants Tesla and like electric vehicles to be around, and he's like running with it, and it's being really successful. And I look at us and I'm like, wow, we have a vision to change education, to reform the way that kids go into post-secondary ops. And not saying we're like Elon Musk, but like his visionary, I guess, characteristic is very inspiring to us.
No, I think that you brought up a good point earlier of just doing it. You know, I think a lot of people even contact me personally, like, hey, like, how did you start this business? And they want advice. And sometimes I'm like, I don't really know what to say. Like, you just got to do it. You just have to really just put your foot forward and don't look back. And, you know, like once you really do that, it takes you to a whole nother space because you really embrace learning on the go. It's no longer like you need to have these strategic steps or, you know, all these different things. It's like, all right, what do I need to do today? And create a list of things you need to do and just do them. And you'll meet the right connections. You'll attract the resources and the answers you need. You just got to do it.
Yeah, like that's very common with everything that we've done. It's like, do we really know how to do this? Especially when we were like at Punch Bowl, like none of us really know how to run a business, much less a nonprofit. Like we have some business minds. Like we probably can figure it out. Just went for it. Like we didn't really know what we were doing, but we're figuring it out. Same thing with our event. We didn't have any idea how to stream an event online because of COVID. We just tried it and streamed it on a webcam. We had the mayor of Aurora stand in front of a webcam and speak to 100 people, but like we did it. Like you just got to do it sometimes. You just got to like actually take action.
How has COVID affected you guys?
So it's funny, and it's something we joke about a lot because we started this right before everything shut down. Right. And we started a business in which the whole model is to give money for nothing right before a pandemic and economic recession. And it has affected us more so in the beginning of the year. Most of our first donations were us and some of our friends. But I think that as the year has gone on, we've definitely seen a change in who we're able to talk to and like who has a little bit more time, who has more available resources and things like that. So I'd say that in the beginning it was a little bit tough. It did give us a lot of time because none of us really could go anywhere or do anything. So we did work on it a lot in the beginning. But I think that we as a whole have been pretty lucky because we just have tried our best to sort of adapt as we go.
You want to jump in here, man?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Just pass it over to him.
I think as far as COVID impacting us, I think it made us get a little bit more creative too. Just thinking through, how can we still raise money? How can we still reach out to people and make those connections when we can't actually see them in person? And so like even with this event, at first we didn't think we could actually pull it off because, we can't meet in public, we can't gather. So what can we do? And so we, put the stream together. Andy did a lot of work to learn how to pull that off and how to run it perfectly and smoothly. And so then we just had to think through, how can we still build these connections? So oftentimes it was just, sending an email, sending a LinkedIn message and just seeing where it goes and seeing if they'd be willing to help out a nonprofit. And so just building support through creative means outside of just meeting up. So
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think COVID forced us all to get creative. So it's dope to hear you guys' perseverance story, which kind of leads us to our next segment of like dubs and losses. So kind of tell the audience about like some of the dubs and losses you guys have endured during your journey with the 14er Fund.
Like individually, like in your own journeys, but then also as 14er Fund, like what are some of the successes that you guys had and some setbacks and stuff like that? Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I think it's been mainly smooth, and I think it's because our pre-existing friendships kind of helped that. But I mean, there have been moments where we're just like internally like split on what to do next, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge is like how do you take a bunch of viewpoints and work around them, right, and like hear each other and not necessarily try to crowd like your idea is the best. And I think we've gotten a lot better as a team just doing that and like saying, okay, like from an objective standpoint, like what makes sense, what's going to be good for the nonprofit. I think recently personal Personal L's, I think. Well, I think leaving my last job at Delta, coming to Wix was, I think, a bummer to me. I studied hotel administration at Cornell, loved it, and I wanted to do something in hospitality, and airline seats and hotel rooms are the same thing.
Right.
I really was like, Delta's going to be it for me. Pandemic hit, travel down the drain. I was like, it's time to go. Like, it's time for me to see something new. So it was definitely sad leaving the company. I saw my future there, but I think it's opened a completely different door in tech, right? At Wix, I'm doing like account management stuff now, and it's great talking to clients. So I think it's like not really an L, but more of like a risk, like a leap of faith, honestly.
Right. Sure.
And it's worked out just great. And I wonder what we're going to be doing next with the 14er fund in terms of like leaps of faith, because we did $1,000 in scholarships our first year. We're doing $5K this year. Our goal is to like continue to grow at a sustainable pace, but it's like, what is that next step? And it's just so exciting for us.
Nice.
Yeah, I think our biggest dub as a whole is realizing that we are capable of taking that leap of faith and just doing things.
Yeah.
I think that through this whole year, we've done a lot of things we just didn't think we were going to do at all. But in terms of losses, I think that for us, the biggest loss was realizing that the three of us needed to be the three to do this, because it used to be sort of a six-man team. Mm-hmm. And, just too many people doing things all at once, trying to coordinate schedules. It's just a lot.
Right.
Because it was our whole group from high school, 6 of us. Some of them were in grad programs, some of them are working, some of them are just too busy. So it was hard to coordinate things. And I think that we had to realize that if we want this to grow, we need to sort of take the reins on it. And that was sort of tough for us. And we're all still very good friends. Like, it hasn't changed anything, but we wanted to be like a group of friends doing something, and it just turned into like a smaller group of friends doing something. So I think
addition by subtraction.
Yeah, exactly. I think that for sure was not necessarily a loss, but I think that realizing it had to just be the three of us was tough.
Right.
Sure.
And I think that's a good point that both of you make. Like, it's not necessarily a loss or a setback, but sometimes in the moment, or depending on your perspective, it seems like, man, this isn't going the way I wanted it to go, but it's just part of the path to get to where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But so, Nate, if you have anything?
So I'd say a really big dub for us is just, being able to grow these skills that we need to run a successful nonprofit. So, learning how to do the tax stuff, learning how to run the website, learning how to set up events.
Taxes and all that paperwork.
And so definitely like, I guess the trial and error of it can be like a series of dubs and L's, and just trying to figure out, what's the best way to proceed. But I feel like overall it's been a huge win for us, just because we're able to continue to grow and continue to have big dreams and big aspirations, because we're building the skills that we need to get to those end goals. So,
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm curious, like, to hear how you guys have used your careers to help the 14er Fund, whether it be like skill or knowledge based or financially or however. How have you guys used your careers to help it?
What's funny is that part of the reason why we realized it had to be the three of us is because the three of us all have very different skills and are very interested in different things. So me, for instance, I work in finance, and I just sort of was like, how does a nonprofit work? Like, just curious as to how that functions, and just, discovering new things and being able to sort of grow in both fields in terms of nonprofit and my own job in corporate finance. And then these two can talk about, their roles as well. But I think that each of us very much are suited for roles as CFO, COO, and CEO.
Dope.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest takeaway I bring from my job into this is just project management. So just, how do we navigate through our action plan? How do we make sure we're hitting all our target deadlines? How are we, getting through, whatever goals we have set for ourselves? And then, with our backgrounds, we're able to think through the metrics, think about the outcomes, make sure that we have successful projects and successful endeavors. And so I feel like it's been a really smooth transition.
I knew I liked you, Nate. By the book. Real quick for Nate, how do you kind of keep everybody on track in hitting these deadlines and checking these boxes.
He slaps us.
We'll cut it out if it's not.
Well, like Bruce mentioned, we do a lot of things like spur of the moment. And so once we have those ideas, it's just a matter of making sure that we, once we set out like our action plan, figuring out what we have to accomplish, just reminders like, hey, we said we're going to do this. Let's make sure we actually get it done. Just
Right.
Just constant reminders, nudges, making sure that we actually stick to our goals, stick to our plans.
I feel you.
That is Miguel.
I feel you.
That's Miguel. For sure.
I understand you. We'll talk about it. We'll leave them here and then we'll go outside.
They're gonna abuse out of this. No, I think what Andy brings to the table is definitely like a lot of the analytics, curiosity, and like finance. And we have grown so much under his kind of leadership with finance and just understanding like how does a nonprofit get taxed? Like we want to do Toastmasters and we're just like, Andy, like how is that tax deductible?
Right.
And really without him, I don't think a lot of this would be possible. What Nate brings to the table is all that process and that organization, right? He has a very like methodical way of thinking. It's almost like an engineer's mind. He was an engineer. But yeah, and I think as for me, I have a lot of like people skills. Like I love to talk to people, love to just get myself out there. I'm in sales now, right? So it's like,
it's natural,
it's natural, right? And so I think what I bring is like bringing the connections, sharing the message and getting people excited about our mission. So like I said, like we all have very, very unique backgrounds, but together, we've gotten so much closer, and we joke about pushing the beds together, like during like hangouts and whatnot. We're just like, let's push all the beds together. It's gonna be lit. Let's talk about ideas.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great group, and honestly, wouldn't have any other guys just do this mission with us. So
dope.
That's really dope.
That's a good one.
For sure. But yeah, man, I'm glad you guys have you guys on today. It's been amazing hearing you guys' story and just kind of hearing the perseverance and know you guys more. You can clearly see, what roles you guys play and like where you guys fit in. It's like a perfect synergy. So it's cool to see. I'm excited for you guys' journey.
Yeah, no, appreciate the time, man.
And then before we wrap up a little bit, what for kids that are trying to do the same thing, like they watch this and realize like, oh, I kind of want to try that out. Like what advice would you give to them about trying to start a fund or a nonprofit in general or something like that?
Yeah, it's tough. I think we've seen a few funds kind of come up in that same vein of like, I don't know if we inspire them, but like, a lot of these funds, and we encourage that, right? Like we want more people specifically in Aurora, like helping out these kids. Right. But I think it's like, you gotta be committed. You gotta really know what drives you. For us, our personal experiences drove us. And you gotta have that vision. It's about that vision. And honestly, like it's honestly like it's starting a business. Like it's like a startup. Like the right chemistry has to be there, the right ideas, the right resources, the team. It's like it's a lot of luck too, man. So just find a good group of people. If you're passionate about it, just do it, honestly.
For sure.
Pretty much goes for anything, really.
It goes for anything, yeah.
I think the best advice I can give is, definitely have big dreams, big aspirations, and then figure out your path to get there. So, with our group, we started off with just one scholarship, and then we, build more momentum, got more people to donate, and now we're able to give out 5. And we're hoping to continue to go step by step up that ladder and just continue to set reachable goals, set your stretch goals, and just figure out the best way to get there.
That's the logistics talking. That's
logistics. And then if you want to start a nonprofit itself, the first thing you need to do is just go to the Colorado Secretary of State website, fill out a business form, classify yourself as a nonprofit. It takes maybe 15 minutes, costs like $25, and you'll get an email saying you're an official business in Colorado a day or two later. And that's what sort of excited all of us. It's like, wow, we are official. What's next? Right. And that'll just start the fire of what do I do next? Where do I go? Like, how do I actually become 501c3? It's just go online and register. It literally took me 15 minutes and like $25.
Yeah. So what is next for you guys?
We really want to finish this year strong in making sure that we give a scholarship to each of the 5 Aurora public schools. And then we also would like to have one more fundraiser this year as well. We want to try to aim for 2 fundraisers a year and then our scholarship season. So anything else that you guys want to add to that?
Yeah. I think just awareness is the biggest thing. Like, we're a fairly small nonprofit in terms of like newness to the community.
Right.
We just want more people in Aurora, more people across the state just know what we're doing, because as a result, we're going to get more resources to help more kids, right? So it's kind of like fueling the fire.
Yeah.
That's my biggest goal. That's what I want to see.
Oh,
Sure. And then another thing we want to do is just continue to build our networks. So I feel like a big part of our value is being able to connect students to different professionals, different careers. And so, the more people we know, the easier it is going to be for our scholars. And, just making sure that we can build the right connections, can help make that transition to the professional world easier. And so it's up to us to just continue to grow our network.
dope.
Absolutely, man. So where can people find you? Tell the audience where they can find you about the awareness portion.
Tell them the address.
Not where they can literally not get a hold of you.
Well, you can definitely check us out on our website, www.the14erfund.org. We also have Facebook, we have Instagram, and we have Twitter. So follow us on all our platforms. And
Is your social media at the 14er Fund or
14 spelled out or
Yeah, so
Spelled
I
out,
believe
yeah.
it's the 14er Fund spelled out on everything except Twitter. I think it's
Yeah,
just 14er Fund.
okay.
It's DA instead of the.
Nice. It's casual.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man, that's a wrap. Man, thank you guys again for coming on.
Yeah, I really respect what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Sorry we were late again.
No, it's all good. All good. All
Yeah,
good.
that was a blast talking to you guys. I'm sure we'll
for sure.
collab more in the future.
Oh, definitely.
For
definitely.
sure. Yeah, man. The 14er Fund, guys. We will catch you guys in another episode. Yeah, man. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, another great episode in the books. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are looking for more episodes. You can find us on any other streaming platform that you have. Other than that, much love, y'all. Be safe. Peace.